a while loop can be complicated to write correctly. Our for loops tend to be a little more simple to understand and to write. But like I said before, or maybe I didn't say before, while loops still have a place. There will still be times where we need to use while loops. So let's take the example that we did in the last tutorial, and let's do a file save as, and save this as sumpractice2.py. And let's look at this. So we have some duplicate code, right? Like we had this data input twice. I wonder if there's a way that we could rewrite this statement so that we're really only having this line of code happen one time, okay? So let's comment this code out. Remember 3 double quotation marks. And that way we can still look at the previous program and compare it to a better way of writing this program, okay? So we still need a variable called the sum. There I go again, putting an E on it, and we're going to give it 0.0 as the value. Now we're going to use the keyword while, but use a Boolean operator of true. While true, that's a little confusing. So it may seem like we're implying by saying while true that this loop is going to be an infinite loop. But we're going to use a break statement that will cause the while loop to exit, okay? So now inside the while loop, remember we have indented. We'll do the data equals input, enter a number, or just enter to quit. I want to put an E on everything apparently. Okay, and now we're going to have an if statement. If the data is exactly equal to empty, then we break. And break just means we're stopping the loop, okay? So the loop will exit and it will print the sum. But if it is not empty, if the user enters something, we're going to take what the user entered, convert it to a float, and store it in number. And then we'll add that to the sum. So whatever's in the sum plus the data, number plus whatever's in the sum will be stored back into the sum. And then let's just print our results. Print. Oh. There I go again with the E. What is it with me and the E? Notice I didn't go over this in the last video, but the reason that we didn't have to change this to a string is because we weren't concatenating it. We're just using the comma to print it out, so then we don't have to change it to a string. But if we used a plus sign there, we would have to convert it to a string. Okay, let's do F5 to run. And it should work exactly the same. If we do a 1, a 2, a 3, and then we press enter, then it gives us the sum, okay? So once we press just an enter, it broke out of the loop using the break and then went immediately to execute this line of code. But while it was true, while we were just entering numbers, it was doing these lines of code, okay? Hope that makes sense. Let's practice with another while loop. I've already I've opened an empty shell window and saved it as numpractice.py. Make sure you save it in your chapter 3 shared folder so I can grade it. And in this, we are going to do like some data validation. So say that we want the user to enter a grade, and grades have to be between 0 and 100, right? Hopefully you've never made a -45 on an assignment before. I guess it's possible you could have bonus points, but we're not going to get that deep into it. Okay, so let's use the keyword while, and we're going to use that while true. And we're going to prompt the user to give us a number, and we can go ahead and change that to an int. Because we're going to use the break to get out of it. I like to put my parentheses in so I don't forget them. So enter the numeric grade. Did you hear that thunder? Maybe not. Sometimes I think y'all hear things on my videos and y'all don't hear them. Okay, if the number is greater than or equal to 0 and number is less than or equal to 100, then we want to break because they've entered a valid number. Else, and don't forget your colons there, we're going to print an error message. We're going to say error, grade must be between 100 and 0. Okay, and then let's just print the number, just have it print out for just a little bit of extra validation. Print number. Okay, let's try this and see if it works correctly. Okay, enter numeric grade. So let's say -50. No. Let's try 150. No. Let's try 50. And yes, it works. Okay. So while this is a while true loop, it's just going to do this. You need to make sure that you have that break in there somewhere. And then we're using this if statement to help test for a condition inside the loop. So that saved us from having to ask this more than one time with our code.